Welcome to Old Casebook, where forgotten pages of history are brought back to life. Today we travel back to the year 1856, to the misty woods of Pennsylvania, where the sudden disappearance of two young brothers led to one of the strangest and most chilling discoveries of the 19th century. What happened to George and Joseph Cox? And how did a farmer's mysterious dream lead to their discovery? This is not just a tale of loss, it's a haunting mystery that continues to echo through time. Sit back, subscribe, and ring the bell icon, because what you're about to hear might just stay with you. Blue Knob State Park, nestled in Bedford County, Pennsylvania, is a natural gem, renowned for its rugged terrain, sweeping scenic views, and diverse ecosystems. As one of the highest elevations in the state, Blue Knob offers not only breathtaking vistas and dense woodlands, but also year-round opportunities for hiking, skiing, and wildlife observation. Deep within the park lies the shadowy Spruce Hollow Forest, a remote, thickly wooded area that holds a deep connection to local history and enduring folklore. Situated in the Allegheny Mountains of southern Pennsylvania, this forest is the backdrop to one of the region's most haunting legends, the tragic tale of the lost children of the Alleghenies. By May of 1856, 44-year-old Samuel Cox, a man who would later serve in the Civil War, and his 29-year-old wife, Susanna, lived in a modest cabin within Spruce Hollow Forest. They had 4 children at the time: George, Joseph, Sarah, and Anna. Susanna was 4 months pregnant with their 5th child, Lydia, and over time, the couple would go on to have 11 children in total. Samuel and Susanna had married years earlier, on December 30th, 1847, when the region was still dominated by old-growth forests, untouched by the booming logging industry that would arrive decades later. On the morning of April 24th, 1856, Samuel set out to hunt in the fresh spring snow. His dog Sport began barking frantically outside the cabin, prompting Samuel to believe it had treed a squirrel nearby. Grabbing his rifle, he stepped into the woods, completely unaware that this moment would mark the beginning of a tragedy. At some point after his departure, it's believed that 7-year-old George and 5-year-old Joseph, curious about their father's activity, wandered into the forest, perhaps hoping to find him. Susanna, unaware of this, assumed the boys had gone with their father. But when Samuel returned home alone, the chilling realization struck: the boys were missing. Panic set in. The couple called out their names into the dense forest, but no answer came. Desperate, Samuel rushed to gather help from neighboring homesteads. By nightfall, over 100 men had assembled to join the search. Fires were lit across the snow-covered woods to guide the children home, if they were still alive to see them. By the next day, the search had grown to nearly 1,000 people, some traveling more than 50 miles to help. No small journey in the rugged wilderness of the 1850s. The searchers faced treacherous terrain. Bob's Creek, a nearby stream, was swollen with spring meltwater. Many feared the boys may have tried to cross and drowned, but even after exhaustive searches of the creek, no trace of them was found. Days passed. Hopes of finding George and Joseph alive slowly faded. The chances of 2 young boys surviving multiple nights in the unforgiving cold of Spruce Hollow were slim. And then, suspicions turned inward. Whispers spread through the community. Some believed Samuel and Susanna had murdered their own sons, hoping to gain sympathy and donations. Authorities investigated thoroughly. They searched the family's cabin, dug up the garden, even pulled up floorboards in search of buried remains. Nothing. No evidence of foul play. In a desperate move, the searchers turned to the supernatural. A dowser was brought in, then a witch from Somerset County. Neither brought answers. The dowser found nothing, and the witch led teams on a fruitless chase through the woods, claiming to know the boys' whereabouts. By the 6th day, a glimmer of hope surfaced. A woman reported hearing what sounded like a child crying in the mountains. Searchers rushed to the area, but once again, no trace of the boys was found. Given the snow and frigid temperatures, survival was unlikely, but not impossible. As the days dragged on, A $100 reward was posted for the safe return of the boys, $50 for the recovery of their remains. In the absence of answers, rumors grew wilder. One particularly bizarre claim came from a so-called know-nothing high priest, who insisted that a Catholic institution in Cambria County had kidnapped the Cox boys and were in the process of converting them into nuns. It wasn't until May 2nd, 1856, 8 days after the boys went missing, that a breakthrough finally came, and it came from the most unexpected source. A local farmer, Jacob Dibert, who lived near Casebook just a short distance from the Cox cabin, had been following the story of the missing children. Moved by the tragedy, he wished he could somehow dream of their whereabouts to help bring peace and closure to the grieving family. That night, Jacob did just that. In his vivid dream, he walked through the woods, crossing a stream by way of a fallen log. He passed a dead deer, a child's shoe, and the shattered trunk of a fallen birch tree. Eventually, he arrived at a small ravine where a copse of birch trees stood quietly in the shadows. There, he found the boys, George and Joseph Cox, curled up together in a final embrace, sleeping in their eternal slumber. The dream returned again the following 2 nights. At first, Dibert kept it to himself, confiding only in his wife. But as the dream persisted, he became convinced it was more than imagination. It was a sign. On May 7th, he told his brother-in-law, Harrison Wysong. To Jacob's surprise, Wysong recognized certain details from the dream. Moved to act, he agreed to help Jacob retrace the vision, this time in real life. On May 8th, they set out into the forest. What they discovered was chilling. Each element from Jacob's dream matched reality. The fallen log stretched across the stream, the dead deer, the small child's shoe, the roots of the broken birch, and finally, the ravine. There, beneath a cluster of birch trees near a sawmill by Sienna Run, they found the lifeless bodies of 7-year-old George and 5-year-old Joseph. Just as the dream had shown, some locals found the discovery too precise, too eerie to be coincidence, but newspaper accounts at the time confirmed that the children had likely died from exposure and starvation. They had been gone for several days before being found, and their bodies were located approximately 2.5 miles from their family's cabin. One newspaper wrote of the tragic discovery, "It is a great consolation to all to know that they, George and Joseph, have been found, and that they were not devoured by wild beasts. We deeply sympathize with the parents in this sad bereavement, but their loss is the eternal gain of their innocent little children, who are henceforth and forever at rest in their Father's mansion on high." The disappearance of the Cox boys remains one of Pennsylvania's most haunting mysteries. While it seems likely they simply wandered too far into the woods and succumbed to the elements, certain details remain unsettling, especially Jacob Dibert's hauntingly accurate dreams. Was it pure coincidence? Or something more? To this day, the story continues to fascinate those drawn to folklore, the unexplained, and the mysterious power of dreams. After their tragic deaths, George and Joseph Cox were laid to rest at Mount Union Cemetery in the nearby town of Lovely, Bedford County. According to reports, nearly 5,000 people attended their funeral, a powerful testament to how deeply their story had touched the community. Despite the sorrow, life continued for the Cox family. Just 4 months after the loss, Susanna Cox gave birth to a daughter, Lydia. Over the years, she and Samuel welcomed 6 more children: Samuel, Nancy, Mary, Susan, Esther, and Jacob. Both parents lived long lives, Samuel passing at 84, Susanna at 71. But George and Joseph were never forgotten. In 1906, to mark 50 years since their disappearance, the town of Pavia raised donations to build a memorial. By 1910, a monument titled "The Lost Children of the Alleghenies" was erected at the exact spot where the boys had been found. More than a century later, that monument still stands, a solemn tribute to a heartbreaking loss, a mysterious dream, and a story that continues to echo through time. More than a century has passed, yet the story of the lost Cox children continues to stir hearts and spark questions. Was it fate? Was it something supernatural? Or simply an extraordinary coincidence? One thing is certain: some mysteries refuse to be forgotten. If you found this story as haunting and fascinating as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and press the bell icon so you never miss another case from the dusty archives of old Casebook. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your mind curious.